Okay, Merry Christmas, everyone. Um, we're streaming live the grand final of the Crazyhouse World Championship for 2022 between Fumitoks and blitzbullet. Fumitoks has had an outstanding candidate stage this year, defeating almost every opponent except for his last opponent, who was Zixon. So outstanding performance from Fumitoks. He was set to play against the defending champion Katask this year, but unfortunately Katask has decided not to defend his title. So the second position in the candidate stage went to blitzbullet, and that's why we're seeing the final between these two players. So today we're expecting 20 matches or 20 games of Crazyhouse at the time control of 3 minutes plus 2 seconds per player. There will be 60 games in total. They're played against played across 3 dates. So this is the first of 3 matches of 20 games. The first player to reach 30.5 points will take the championship. So mostly playing for glory, but first prize is $400 and second prize is $200. Okay, so we expect the players to begin shortly. So here in Australia, it's just gone Christmas. It's 2 a.m. here on 25th December, but for most of you, it will still be Saturday, 24th. Okay, blitzbullet opening with d4, and we've got knight f6, knight f3, and we've got symmetry. So early g3, met with bishop g4 and knight e5. Okay, so not the most common opening here. Black not retreating this bishop, just defending it with knight takes g4. So no delay in development. Okay, this will be interesting. Will he sacrifice here or decide to back off? So he's having a think, and he's gone straight for f2. So following with h5. So looking for a very direct play on the dark squares. And not having seen this before, I think that's a reasonable approach for black. And he's not hesitated. He's yeah, you're putting white under some pressure here. Should be new territory, and you know, this bishop can come out here, queen can come out here. There's a pawn and knight in hand, and I think Fumitoks has what he would like out of the opening. Um, I feel Fumitoks is the kind of player that needs original positions to create really good play. So I think this is right down his alley. Um, so Tice165 says, sorry if this has been asked before. Where are Katask, Jasugi, and Oppa? So reasonable questions. Katask was defending champion. So at the start of the stream, I mentioned that he's decided not to defend his title this year. Jasugi was runner-up last year and had a spot in the candidates to be able to play, but he's also busy with life. And I think Oppa Wesen pulled out, even though he may have registered to play. I don't think he kept his name in the draw for too long. So yeah, I was in the draw and I pulled out as well. So we all had a part in it this year, but yeah, life's demands have not allowed us to play. So here this is interesting. Bishop takes c3 looks like it may occur. Black has now sacrificed two pieces, but has some weaknesses here to attack. Now whether that, if BC, whether it's knight at f2 or knight at h2, not sure yet. There's possibly ideas like pawn at b2 and knight at e3. So something on here. He's gone for knight at h2. Okay, this is dangerous for white. The h2 and f2, a pawn at either of these is very dangerous with a rook in hand. Yeah, what do you do against this? This is really hard. Maybe you have to defend with a bishop at h2 or a bishop at f2, because then at least the bishop covers g1. But okay, let's say bishop at h2, you still have pawn at f2 and rook at e1 is on. So maybe the bishop at f2, or possibly bishop at e3. No, okay, knight at f3 played. So defending against pawn at h2, but basically covering e1 and g1. So pawn at f2 played anyway, and attacking the defender of the back rank. And on clocks, Fumitoks is looking good here as well. So putting some pressure on in the first game with black. Yeah, thanks, Jenna. Katas did a Magnus on ZH. He said so. Magnus didn't, decided not to defend his title this year, and that seems to be the trend. Okay, so not playing pawn at e4 again, going straight for knight at e1, and this is not just trying to distract the knight, but also cutting off the queen. So knight takes e1 not playable because of rook at g1 or rook at h2 mate. This is really difficult to defend against. The knight takes f3 is a big threat. So rook at h2 was. This looks like mate nearly. He's taking his time. You even rook at rook at g1 is queen takes. That's just made it there because he was going to come in with knight at f2 and he had two knights. It didn't matter that a bishop was defending. So Fumitoks drawing first blood. Early sack on f2 and just went straight in on the dark squares and never let go. So again, we're starting with d4. Blitzbullet sticking with the fianchetto here. Okay, both players just developing naturally here. So early king h8, possibly bringing this knight back. This is a common idea where black plays the knight back in h6 and basically has a fortress, and then we'll try to make play. Sometimes h6 has been played already, but here it's actually good that there's still two defenders on g6, so there's no option to sack here yet. So black's plan is basically try to create fortress, put a pawn on h3, try to make an attack happen. And I think as white, white probably just has a bit of space advantage here, so it's about controlling the tension and deciding when the trades should come off. Having a think about it. So bishop takes replaced here. got to defend e5 somehow. So there's either f4 or there's bishop at g3. Sometimes f4, allows d4 and some play here, but maybe the bishop in hand is worthwhile for white. So c5 here, looking likely to prepare d4, because maybe black didn't want to recapture with the queen, but the benefit with the queen taking is that there's a capture on b2. So Fumitoks possibly looking for something on the light squares. Yeah, again, I feel that Fumitoks has a position out of the opening that's comfortable for him here. I think he'll create chances, and he's in no rush to capture here. He can prepare that. This bishop is likely to get traded off, and white's coming in with some checks here. I mean, white looks a lot safer than black. But he's having a think here. I thought he would at least start with this and then decide which way he wants to go. But maybe he's deciding if he should take this one first. If CD, maybe there's some kind of knight takes f8. But I think just queen takes f8 there. That there's a rook at h7 mate threat. I don't think we need to get tricky with the move order. Bishop at a3. Like I'm nearly. My first reaction is like, is this a slip or is this a real move? But I think he's trying to put pressure on the dark squares. So now sacking on f7. So I mean, maybe rook at f7, and I'm trying to see how the bishop plays on a3. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Jenna. It says the bishop at a3, and Jan's face says, "What kind of things are the young kids doing these days?" Um, I mean, it's not a horrible move. Like, I mean, bishop at b1, I would say that's definitely a slip. It was just interesting that it was followed with knight takes f7 and not with something on the dark squares. But it looks like it will play just fine here. There we go. It's been captured. And white's still in the driving seat here. I would not want to be playing black against Fumitoks here. Like, this is rook at g7 is knight at f7 would mate, king here, and bishop at e7 is winning. So I don't know. Maybe Fumitoks saw at great depth with bishop at a3. It certainly worked out. Okay, d4. And we should note that Fumitoks is live streaming as well, so you can check out things from his point of view. He did advise me that he would stream. Interestingly, I think his words were that he achieved what he had wanted to this year in the Crazyhouse World Championship, and in a way felt that playing the final was an obligation. So for him to make it entertaining, he's going to live stream the grand final. So I think that'll be very interesting for the viewers to watch. So certainly go check out his channel as well to see it from from his point of view. Now here's interesting. You can sometimes just opt to take this and play pawn at g4. Sometimes you don't even have to take. I already somewhat like this for black. Not that the game is over or anything like that, but black can get worse openings than this. You know, black's got some clear um, paths to progress on the king side. Big potential attack. You know, everything's ready to go. So pawn at e5 was coming. So knight e4's been played. It still looks playable, pawn at e5, but stopping to put some cover here. Yeah, I wonder if you can sacrifice this. But that's just kind of like a Janley queen sacrifice with no thought whatsoever, just on principle. Meaning it's not necessarily good, viewers. That's um, just a bit of fun. But maybe he's considering it. Who knows? Um, so basically, if knight takes here, you would possibly take and just come in on dark squares. If pawn takes, I don't know what a serious continuation would be there. You've got a bishop in hand. Maybe you go in with knight takes f2, but okay, he's still offered a queen sacrifice. He's just put the knight on instead, and it's declined pretty quickly. So blitzbullet not even contemplating a capture here. Maybe he wasn't even going to recapture. Maybe he was going to play bishop takes g3, takes, and pawn at f2. Not that I've seen anything decisive. Could have even just decided to recapture here. But pawn at e5 played. And maybe blitzbullets just said, I'm not going to allow bishop takes g3 no matter what. Okay, so Fumitoks creating something on the dark squares. I think the blitzbullet has good odds of defending this one. And blitzbullet's a very good defender, and he can do it in a short period of time. Okay, Genesis Fumitoks is streaming a little bit less than half the board from h1 to d5 only. Okay. Okay, his attack is going in. So he did end up sacrificing that queen on h4. So here I don't feel like blocking is a good idea. I feel like it's king h1. Because say knight at d4, you're just giving another knight to black. It feels dangerous. Okay, but e3. So not capturing. So is queen at b5 gonna rip off this bishop? Is that critical or not? So say queen at b5. How do you stop the check? Pawn at d7. There's also queen b7 a possibility. It's probably more queen takes c5, but then takes here. Maybe rook takes. I feel maybe bishop takes. Like black's giving up a lot of material here. So queen at b5 doesn't just try to win this bishop. The idea is that you try to take the pawn out of hand from your opponent. I'm a little surprised by blitzbullet's pace slowing down here. Okay, so he's preserving the pawn in hand. He wants to maybe attack with it, but even then, takes. Like if you take with the bishop, then king g2 becomes a good spot to avoid the mate threats that might otherwise be there. Okay, so he's gone for b7, hitting the rook. That's very reasonable. Knight at c6 looks crushing. But where's the... So he's pawn at c6, rook at d7, and then he wins this rook with check. That should be the game. He's thinking queen takes c7, which one is better? Queen takes c7, pawn at d7 takes king f8. I think rook at d7 is just very clean. And blitzbullet takes the first win. So we've got 2-1 advantage to Fumitoks. That was a very nice cheeky comment from Jenna. You don't need to see the other squares on the board. H1 to d5 is where it's all going to happen. But, okay, you've got a full board. Juiceboard says no Yasser this year. Well, actually, I offered these dates to all the commentators from last year, and it's Christmas Eve, so we tried to finish the match during December, and I had sent a template to Blitzbullet and Fumitoks, so we want to make the times good for the players, and there were only 3 good times, and one of the good times for the players was on Christmas Eve. So I'm here on my own covering this one, but hoping to have the real Ghanaians join us for the match on Monday 26th. Yasser is a maybe for that one. And then I think we'll have better attendance on 30th December. Should have the real Ghanaians, possibly Zixon, and maybe one new commentator, which could be Jasugi99. So yeah, hopefully the crew of commentators progressively grows from day 1 to 3. Okay, so again, like this is looking like something interesting. I don't see any continuation moves for that. It's just a bit of a laugh. But this bishop is useful, and it coordinates here, and this doubled pawn actually can sometimes be a target where, even something as simple as knight at g3 could hit h5. At this point in time, there's plenty of light square defense. So he's being sensible this time. You never know, maybe he's thought, well, I just sacrificed my queen recklessly last game, and we should be sensible this time around. c6 has been played. How do you make progress here? Yes, Chuckles. Gnaea's coverage is really good. Gnaea's is one of my original inspirations from way back when he was uh, without a doubt the leading player in Crazyhouse and Bughouse. So it's amazing to have him commentating the matches. Okay, blitzbullet coming in for big trades, looking for an attack. All right, but taking a break, and I don't know that black has achieved you know an attack that's anything to be too frightened of. We've got d4 here. You could just protect this. Fumitoks is looking for more. So bishop takes f1. I thought of this, but we just hang a pawn here. So what's his idea? No, he's gone knight takes f1. Knight at g4. This was a good pawn to keep. Yeah, we can just back off here. And I think blitzbullet is comfortable enough here. Okay, so what's the material? Black's basically a pawn up. If we consider rooks are similar to minor pieces, pawn at h7. But more importantly, blitzbullet is 2 minutes up on the clock. So I think blitzbullet can just hold on to defend this and pick off some material. So knight at d6. Like, how are you going to defend f7? You're not. If you take this, then white got away with 2 pawns. That's okay. So I think you got to take this one. Pawn at e6 seems like the move. You could give the rook back with bishop at g8. No, he's gonna do it this way, which opens up e8 and g8. So rook at e8 would win the queen. Not the end of the world for black. In fact, white has nothing left on black's kingside. So black can fortify here, but has gone for g3. Pawn at h4. You keep going for dark squares. No, he's opting to switch to the light. Yeah, this is looking like a victory for black. So we've got to watch out f7 still. This is... Ooh, but there's knight at g6. Okay, he found a sneaky mate at the back there. The bishop was defending e2, and once that departed to f5, then blitzbullet found the sneaky mate on g1. Okay, we're sticking with this sort of opening here. I still think this favors black. In terms of the style between Fumitoks and blitzbullet. So Fumitoks just taking a pause here. Maybe the knight came to d2 before, so c3 is a slight difference. Can jump in here. And that's a reasonable trade for white, because you know this knight here is far away on the queen side, and then you're trading it for one of the most dangerous attackers. We got a donation from Duches, tipped $5.33. Says nice to see you streaming. Thanks for joining, Duches. Thanks for joining earlier this year. We had Duches assisting with some translations with Zaraza myself and Marlon C. Um, so I appreciate Zaraza coordinating that. There was an interview with myself. Good to see you. Back to the action. So we've had the trade here. And is d4 gonna get captured? No, bishop at c4 is very sensible. Knight takes looks most likely because you get that with check. And then black is attacking d4 and threatening knight at e2. The way Fumitoks has played this, it just kind of feels that black's got targets to hit and white doesn't. It's a very sensible move, this. Wow, bishop at e5. Okay, so maybe there's a hole with knight at d6. But you could probably just take with the knight and take with the queen. Avoid anything with knight at d6. Black's still picking up a pawn in that scenario. Okay, he's saying, well, if you want knight at d6, you can have it. But can't he take here? I guess you just play knight takes d4 then. Because you don't want to take this, then you get check and you'll lose your queen as black. So it's either ed or knight takes d4 is the next move. Okay, he's taken with a pawn. So maybe, I mean, black's still looking just fine here. Black is a pawn up. Okay, this looks like it should get captured. Bishop takes, rook takes. I was thinking knight at g4 because then it forced black off this diagonal and then queen takes d4 would be a move. So white's very safe, but down a piece and a pawn. So I'm not too concerned about knight f6 check. I mean, it's fancy, it wins the queen, but there's no immediate follow-up for white. Bishop at b5. Inviting a capture to take this with check. I guess the queen is going to grab this next, but you can ignore it. You could play, let's say, bishop at b6. No, okay, that's reasonable too. You want to stop rook at d6. That's the more important threat. So white's playing from a position of safety here, and maybe bishop at b6 takes ed. Okay, this is quite similar. It's something to cover c5. You don't have to defend d4 because knight at e2 is covering that one. But you do have to stop any big checks. I think Fumitoks is defending just fine. I think blitzbullet's attacking well. So this is a good move. Looking to break open here. If knight at e6, there'll be f5. Defending with the bishop. Maybe the plan was rook at g8, trapping the queen. That was a nice play, bishop at e6, but f5 played immediately. And here if you take, queen takes g7, there'll be knight at f3 to worry about. So that f5 has just created that gap just for a moment. Is there anything decisive with queen takes here? Um, you got to stop the king running back. So pawn at f5. Can black just sneak back to d6, bishop at e6, and then live on e8? Yeah, you've got to think these ones through because it's very much an all-in situation. You're either going to be 100% right or 100% wrong. Okay, they're going for it. So pawn at f5. I think you go back to d7 to force bishop at e6, because if you come back here, then maybe I just feel white's got more choices. Okay, he's gone to f7. With the bishop at e6 is a move here as well. So in principle, I just don't allow bishop at h5 or bishop at g6. I say, well, you're already allowing that same check, so why not go to d7 where bishop at e6 is the only move? You can't go to king d8 because of queen at c8, so you'd be forced to play king e8, and the game goes on because the knight's covering both. But okay, let's say bishop at h5. You'd play king g8 because you can't allow queen at e8 mate. Alright, but queen at e6 was played. Picking off the knight. Okay, that's interesting. I think you just got to take it. The time's low. You're going to get knight at g6, but black should be okay here, but it's not easy in a time scramble. Taking material is correct. Like, okay, see, that's where that knight could be really critical here because that's going to give white some life. Now white's got a really safe king. So even with the material deficit, white's got a much easier game to play in a time scramble here. Yeah, that's a shame. That knight at e2 check, he didn't have to play knight at e2. It ended up being a free piece that was hanging. I think it could have been that close at this level. And then the time ran out. Okay, e4, e5, interesting. So we're not d4. Yeah, so Fumitoks is the inventor of this opening, Queen H5. He invented it a long time ago on freechess.org. Blitzbullet's playing at a pace as if he knows something about this. You go knight a3 here, or bishop b3. I don't think you can just castle out of it. You're just losing material for no play. Knight a3, wonder if d5 is a move. He might be contemplating bishop b3 if he wants the knight to go to c3 instead. Okay. So ed. I don't know if e4 is the next move. Knight d4, knight takes d5. I mean, black has nice development here. I don't see any tricks with queen at a4 or queen at b5 which work. This knight is very well defended. This knight looks like a target, but if you play queen at b5, there'll be pawn at c6 defending it. I don't think knight takes e5 is an option because of queen at e4 check. Like you'd have to block with queen at e2, and then you lose your queen, and then knight f4 check. So d3 is sensible, covering queen at e4. I think blitzbullet will like this position. And you can play bishop takes d5, you can try to queen at a4 check with a fancy fork, but bishop at d7 still covers everything. So black's in the driver's seat here because he's just a little bit ahead on development. Okay, so queen at a4 first before bishop takes d5. That's a slight difference. You can always bring this back, but at least White's not getting attacked directly, and then may consider sacking the queen, and knight takes e5 check. This is a crafty move, queen at a4. As time ticks by, I like it more because it doesn't just attack here. It defends c2 as well. So okay, we've got the queen sack played, and you might say, well, why do you just sack your queen like that? But white is basically avoiding a lifetime on defense. And if you get a pawn and a minor piece for a queen, it's sometimes not too bad in Crazyhouse if it comes with some initiative as well, some potential for more trades. But I don't think blitzbullet's entirely worried here. Maybe it's pawn at e4, maybe it's bishop at f3, maybe it's knight c3. Yeah, something on light squares. This is nice and aggressive. And most importantly, there's no immediate checks that black has. Queen at h5. Got a mate threat here, threatening the knight. I think the plan is to, if this is taken, just to sidestep to d8. And sometimes that's the case, rather than fighting too hard to defend a square or a piece, you just let it go and you sidestep it to try to get some initiative going. So how do you deal with this one? That's a good move here. Queen at h5. So defending the knight, defending the threats. And maintaining aggression. So black's still in the driver's seat here. The potential on the dark squares is looming. Now knight takes c2, is that playable? Just grabbing the rook. I don't think knight at e6 is dangerous enough. Like king c8 takes. There's a few checks, but I don't think white has enough to get black. So I think you just pick up material here, and then you're threatening rook at c2 or queen at c2. And black's basically saying, what have you got? Sack all your pieces, I'll take them all. That's going to happen. Takes, pawn at c6. There's a knight d4 that could come in at some stage, but just instinctively it doesn't look like it'll be enough. So blitzbullet, fighting back here. Lost the first 2 games, has won the next 3. I like GSVC's commenting this has to be mate, but I think it's white that will be getting mated. He thought, okay, he thought white had a queen in hand. Yeah, black's got both queens, so this will be a victory for black. So white had to defend back here, but yeah, white needs to play pawn at b7 to have a real threat, and black has time to make his own threats or stop it. He's still got to play the position and win it. I even wonder if it's something like queen h6 and just picking off the knight, because you might not be able to penetrate this position immediately. You could have pawn at e2, that's an option. Basically trying to distract this bishop with rook at c2 to follow. So if pawn at e2, king takes e2, rook at e5 check would pick off this knight. This is also very safe, is basically saying, well, if I can't find a way to win, I'm just going to make sure I don't get mated on the back rank. But okay, rook at g8 creates some chances for white here. I just thought you could pick off this knight, because whether you had a rook or a queen on e6, you would cover back c6. Okay, so pick this one off. Ooh, ooh. Now 95 is actually a danger, so blitz bullets let him back in the game here. Fumitoks can be very dangerous now. This is very interesting. Yeah, we've got a time scramble here. Okay, takes rook at d3. No, he's just sidesteps. That's very wise. Pawn at d2 is never going to happen. White's going to win this game, maybe. Still got to play though. He needs a pawn. Blitzbullet's had a chance to put up some defense. Could still go either way this game. Ooh, I think that's going to be too much though, because knight at f3 is too dangerous. So Blitzbullet back in the driver's seat. Wow. Yeah, this is going to be too hard for White to attack now. It's after this. Black is a lot safer. This is coming. Yeah, so yeah, rook at c2 and queen takes e2. Okay, we can do it this way. Queen f4 wins the knight. But you could try to mate with rook at c2 as well. Yeah, that's gonna be the game. Okay. So Blitzbullet winning 4-2 after a flurry there. Wow, Fumitoks looked like he might steal that game actually. Yeah, it's easy to call from the sidelines, but there's a lot of pressure for the players on the clock. That was the first game that, yeah, was a bit more of a roller coaster. It's been a bit more favoring the player that's had the strategic advantage. So again, the knight b5 is coming out here. Um, so it should be known that Fumitoks did defeat Blitzbullet in the candidate stage, but none of that counts here. This is starting from 0-0 for the grand final. 60 games. We're down just 10% of the final. Um, yeah, I like knight at h3. You create a weakness either way. If white declined it, you could grab f4. Um, I don't think you have to capture this. I would be okay with bishop f5. Oh no, bishop at g2 is better. You keep the weakness on g2. If you backed off bishop f5, white could play bishop at g2 and is just fine. So this is a wise move. I'm going to be bold enough to call this a win for Fumitoks already. Not because the position is necessarily decisive, just it's a style thing. I feel that he'll find a way to to push this advantage. I guess I make that assessment saying like I would hate to play white against Fumitoks in this position. Um, I just feel like I'd be defending the whole game. Alright, looks like we got 84 viewers in the chat. If you've just joined recently, this is the Crazyhouse World Championship final between Fumitoks and blitzbullet. Wish you a Merry Christmas wherever you are. Here in Australia, it's already Christmas. It's 25th December at nearly 3 a.m. Must be Christmas Eve for most viewers in other countries. Okay, knight at g4, so looking to break free. I wonder if it should be taken or if this one should be taken. I feel like Fumitoks is trying to choose between a few good moves. It could even be taking here and then sacking on h2, because with the rook in hand, knight g4 is certainly more dangerous. And you've got another trade here. Your queen is going to trade something else. Maybe he's looking at, yeah, other possibilities. Okay, so he's gone for knight takes g4. He's going to keep this one here. Maybe knight at f4? I mean, white wants to get rid of this bishop. Okay, he can't leave himself too low on the clock, because blitzbullet's also very good at defending in low time. So takes, bishop at f2. Okay, so he's got the queen, but he needs a knight here or here to follow up. So he's gonna maybe take e3. This would be interesting, and then just pawn at e5 if king takes. Now white doesn't have to take this, and he hasn't. So he's decided to defend the dark squares rather than risk his king going up closer, because pawn at e5 is you're either making a hole on d4 to chase further, or the knight on f4 falls and then knight at f5 is there. So bishop takes f. Okay. This is sharp. Can black take this one? Knight at g7. Knight at e5. I think you can. There's no knight at e5. You've got the bishop covering. Because I don't think you can take this one. It looks like. It just looks like mate. Um, it might not be, but just something instinctive about it. I would block with the bishop just in case you need to attack. The king can't step on light squares all of a sudden. Maybe blitzbullet has seen something very accurate here where black doesn't have enough. He's got to move. Pawn at e3, king g2, looks like is okay. Knight at f5, having to defend back here. Looks like white's got away with capturing the material. Sometimes assuming there is mate is not enough, like when you go for a move like bishop takes f4. Yeah, nope. Fumi ran out of material. Yeah, I thought black was okay for a while there, but it was getting sharp, and yeah, Fumitoks got low on time and had to make some assumptions with attacking, which I thought were reasonable assumptions too. GSVC should back me up on that. Say, made by assumption. That was his saying. Um, but the assumption didn't come true. Okay, this is a line. There's some kind of bishop takes d4, knight b5, where I've seen the queen sacrificed on b5. The king h1 avoids anything like some kind of theoretical queen sack. I don't claim to know that in too much depth actually. I just know it's been played more than once. And black has got decent positions out of it from what I've seen before. So this will completely change it up. Knight at c7, okay. It's just sneaked in a little fork there after c6. Alright. GSVC is not backing me up there. Says, thought black was in a position to take all material by assumption. Okay. Can't guess it right. Uh, so, okay, let's take the rook, and this knight's going to have a hard time getting free, so it's probably bishop g4. But then maybe knight takes f7 already plays. This is interesting. What's he thinking about? Maybe knight takes f7 first? Or maybe, yeah, bishop takes f7 was a move because you had rook at h8 check there. Yeah, maybe that was missed because bishop takes f7. If rook at h8 takes, you win the queen, right? So bishop takes f7, you'd expect black to play king h8, then you capture c3. In the version of the game, black got to play bishop at h5 first, so black got to hold on to f7. Well, didn't hold on to f7, but um, my point was that with the move order, well, white could have captured f7 before bishop at h5 was played. But okay, white's sacrificed the queen to make it happen. So I would consider bishop at f3 here. Just add some defense while you attack this, but maybe he's thinking he has to pursue with bishop at e6. No, bishop at f3 played. You have a good defender here, but you also have one less attacker. Okay, I thought knight might come to f4, but it's gone to a defensive square. So white's down, what, a queen for a pawn? Queen for 2 pawns. And if black gets one or two free moves, knight at e5 or knight at g5, the initiative will quickly swing to black's favor. Okay, so blitzbullet played knight at e5 anyway, has sidestepped this one. You go for, see, pawn at g5, black can just play knight takes h7. Wow, rook at g8, okay. So he was looking for knight at g6. I think maybe he'll still play it. He's trying to basically trade this one off with check, and not afraid to burn a little bit of material while doing so. But I think that's the best practical option for white. You've got to stay committed to your attack. Okay, so this is defending h8, but also potentially threatening rook takes h2 and knight at g4 with the queen in hand. So knight takes e5 looks reasonable. And defending up nicely. Ooh, this is hanging e5. I mean, may not be decisive, but you know, white's got some play here. So pawn at f7 looks natural. I think you've got to play king h7 to avoid rook at g8 check. Ooh, big check. Rook at h5, because that's how he can be resourceful and get another diagonal piece of g6. He can't actually. Well, he could capture here, but in fact, you have to get rid of the defender there. So rook at h5 is a really nice resource to find here. This is a serious question. How to defend this? So knight at f6. Oh, he ran up. He didn't run back. Does he have mate here? Knight g4, f4, king takes, rook g3. He has at least a draw. He's looking for the mate. Okay, he went for knight f7 instead. That's also very nice. Winning the queen, and now threatening queen at g6. Don't play f4 because maybe queen takes g2 is... And now you can play f4. Nice move order. Just stopping any kind of queen takes g2 counterplay here. Can't play en passant because the queen would get traded. Queen at g6, king f4, queen g3 check, king e3, rook takes f3, king d2, queen e1, king takes c2. Surely there's mate. Oh, okay, he's played rook g3 first. Yeah, this would be mate. Yeah. Now he can run back here though. Hang on. Hang on. So knight at c4 is threatening mate. But Fumitoks in the driver's seat again here. He turned this one around. Okay, the knight's nicely covering c7. And he'll finish with pawn at c7. The knight on a8 never got taken. And played a role in the mate in the end. Alright. So Fumitoks was looking low on material there, but rook at h5 looked like a real big question to ask black. How are you going to defend this? That's when it looked very dangerous. Okay, we're seeing this opening repeated a few times. I think both players are comfortable with the play they get from this. Bishop at g5, that feels like something's hanging. You can't take this one though because there is a queen at e7 mate threat that white has. We're going to see knight at h3 again. I think that's quite reasonable. Yeah, I was surprised Fumitoks didn't convert the previous game he had with black. Um, I still think knight at h3 is good here, if not better, because f6 has been played. There's no knight at g5. There's no knight at f4. Um, like that's a dream to be able to get rid of that light squared bishop that white has. Even if you don't have an immediate threat, it's just positionally speaking, it's a hole that white has right next to the king, and black has not really sacrificed much for it. So he's actually sacrificed a piece here to have a look at this. If bishop f5, maybe knight here, but you can just play bishop at f7 and recapture with the knight. I just feel like black is up a piece or a pawn here. The bishop at f5, maybe pawn at g2, bishop g4. No, he's gone on knight h4. So you can castle here if you want. You can play queen e7 just to give a bit more support to e6. I don't think black needs to do anything too crazy or consume too much time. Yeah, castles is just fine. Bishop takes to keep e6 defended, and yeah, white got the bishop back there, but at a cost. So rook c8, very natural. You've got an open c file. You've got a rook on a8 doing nothing. Um, if white wants a sack on d5, that's fine. We'll let him have it. But okay, it's still a long game, but black is up a pawn for a piece, and theoretically should have an advantage here. Okay, queen e7, h3. So what would I do as black here? Um, I would I'd probably look at trying to consolidate d5 somehow with the removal of pressure here in some way, and then look for an e5 break somewhere. Instead of knight e4, I was thinking of bishop at e4, possibly pawn at f3, bishop c2. Um, I don't know. I'm just concerned how much time that Fumitoks is giving up. Like this is a significant advantage in time. 2 minutes. Okay, he just sacrificed. Like if you can't see a clear plan, at least don't give up your clock. So the material's balanced again, but black is probably more threatening now on f3 at some stage. Maybe you can build it up with knight at g5. I just feel when you've got a strategically blocked position and a long game ahead, then you need all the time on the clock that you can keep. The d5 played. Okay, he's ignored it. He's gone straight for f3. This looks dangerous for white. Um, so maybe you take that one first. If knight takes, like knight e5, I'd be happy if I was Fumitoks. I think black got a really good break in trades, and there's a big hole here. Wow, sacked the queen really quickly. And when you see that happen at this level, the reason why that's done is if white holds the queen too long, it may actually lose more more tempo, more tempi by getting knocked around. And White there just said, look, I'm giving up the queen straight up because I'm not going to hold it. So Fumi looking for a way in on the light squares. The clock is ticking. Alright. So he switched the bishop to f7 instead of e6. And the difference is... No! No, we got a draw. Blitzbullet got away with... I don't think Fumitoks realized that was a third repetition, because maybe he's put the bishop on e6 and the bishop on f7. But the bishop still gets captured on d5, so that's a repetition on that particular position. Oi. He could have thrown in knight at e2 or pawn at g2. Yeah, Blitzbullet got away with a half point there. Yeah, comment saying too low time, understandable draw, but yeah, that was part of it. That I had kind of said earlier. You've got a long game ahead of you, so you're going to need that time. It's unfortunate to be considering a draw if that's what it was, because of the time situation. Okay, so c6 is played here. If you play something like knight e2, then it does end up with d5. Black's basically got what he wants out of the opening, which is a lot of defense on f7. There's no immediate need to break out with trades. The b5 takes. Knight at f5. I start liking white already. This is a really good piece. Take with the rook, or else bishop at f4 hits. Unless you say, well, if you play bishop at f4, I'm just going to give up my queen anyway. So, sorry, rook takes e3, bishop at f4 would get played anyhow. But you could defend the knight with this. Okay, back off. I still like this piece. This for me makes the position better for white. So I think black's wise to attempt to trade it off. Do you sack? No, no sack there. So knight h5 defending this, also opening lines, also defending g7. I don't think knight takes, because if knight takes f4, then white would have got 2 pawns for the piece. So I think king takes is played to keep this knight defending f4. Alright, now bishop at c3 looks natural. Knight at g3 is coming as well at some stage. Who's the player that needs to be more careful here? There's holes on both sides. But now maybe bishop at h4 is sensible. You give up the rook, but recapture with the bishop. You doubled up here, and there's no knight at g3. So yeah, you lose a bit of material, but it feels easier for white to play. Pawn at g4 is also a target. This knight is going to be trapped. I don't have a problem with playing bishop c3 and just recapturing with the queen. It's still a good piece here. Pawn at g4 is still coming. Okay, b4 got played. Alright, now we take here. But this is the defender, so I think pawn at g5 is... No? Okay. I guess pawn at g5, black could just pick up more material. It's very interesting how many moves this rook has been on offer, but black keeps declining it. Okay, white's committed all the pawns. Blitzbullet has just held on to all the material. Now, you could defend this, but Fumi's probably looking at a knight at h6, a queen sack. So it's going to take this one. You got to cover. You play bishop at f8 maybe, or rook at h5, something to defend h6. Or do you even play h6 here? Maybe playing h6 is really stopping everything. Wow, he just allowed it. Okay, maybe he's just figuring he's got enough defense here anyway. Okay, gave up the queen. Black's looking to play pawn at h3. But if you play pawn at h3, takes, pawn g2 takes, then pawn at f6, and white has some initiative again. So maybe the pawn drops to e2. Do you even put a rook on e2, maybe? Okay, blitzbullet basically saying, well, I'm in no hurry to attack. I can just fortify my dark squares while you've got no pawn in hand. Maybe queen at b7. Do you just have to go for one of these two? Even sack the queen, just play bishop at f6, keep attacking. Because if white doesn't do something here, there'll be pawn at e2, pawn at h3. Nice, rook at g8, defending both potential queen sacks. Queen is sacked anyway. And well, white has to do this. White has to go for it. But blitzbullet defending very well here. Another bishop at f8 should be okay. Yeah, knight at d1 is a good move. Yep. Yeah. Pawn at d2 you could play, because you can't take it, because if knight at f2 would end up with mate. Pawn at g3 is an option, bishop at g3 is an option. Now knight takes g3, you can't take with the queen, because knight f2, so you'd have to play hg. Let's see. Okay, Fumitoks isn't dead yet. Was there an inaccuracy? Yeah, you gotta be careful here. If you let white get his f6 and h6 in, I'm impressed. How did Fumitoks get some potential out of this? This isn't over now. Yeah, no. Wow, queen. Yeah, he's just ignoring the knight f2. He's just like, I'm coming for g7. You gave me a way in. And now threatening rook at g8 with a mate threat. Now at what point can black get a move in? Oh, there's no rook at g8. It doesn't quite work. What do you do? You gotta go. You gotta go. Can't take this one because of rook at g8. You gotta be careful. That's a sneaky move. It's defending f2. Rook takes. No, we're gonna recycle rooks. There's a draw on offer. Ooh, nasty. Queen at f2. How do you defend that? Nice find from blitzbullet. Oh, queen at e3. But you can take e3 because the knight can't recapture because of knight f2. So queen takes e3 winning here for blitzbullet. Also winning was rook takes e4. Oh, wow. Blitzbullet pulling out the big guns there. Looks shaky for a moment. The g7 square was under threat. Yeah, this is good Crazyhouse. There's some good play here. Okay, so we're halfway through the day. We've got 10 games played. Blitzbullet leads 6.5 to 3.5. My assessment of the first half is that Fumitoks is getting into reasonable openings for his style, and Blitzbullet's just been better on the clock in the middle game, and then when it comes to critical positions, he's converting. Okay, so this is a new thing. I felt Blitzbullet was doing well with, or at least getting the results with knight b5. But yeah, when black's getting that bishop on h3, I like black, even if the results haven't followed. Now here, taking with the bishop. If you took with a pawn, then maybe it was knight g5, and this pawn became a burden to defend, so that's why bishop takes e4 is played. But okay, Blitzbullet's got much better control of h3 this time. There's a pawn on it, there's defense on it, much better version. Maybe even just castle here. It could be capture, and knight g5. This pawn's gonna drop though if you do that. So what do you do? White looks kind of happy here because if you go bishop g6, there's takes, pawn at e6. Once white gets this kind of fianchetto fortress, the dream to play for is just keep trading off pieces, try to find a hole for black's defense because it's so hard for black to counterattack. Okay, is he gonna? If he pinches material, there'll be a d5 most likely. Yeah, looks like it was pre-moved. I wonder if you can play e5 here. Oh, you get knight takes f7 there, don't you? So let's say it takes. You castle. I feel like white might have a nasty trick up his sleeve. Some kind of, I don't know, pawn at g6 takes. No, he's gone straight for f7. And that's also reasonable. So rook takes f7, pawn at e6. Oh wow, he just left. Okay. Uh, I was thinking rook e7 before, and then if white took the knight, you at least just block with pawn at e6. The white not even flinching, just ignoring this and going straight for the attack. You can take it. White's still safe. Maybe there's a knight at e2 check to be careful of. So let's say pawn at f7. Knight at e2 check. King h1. Rook at g1 takes. Knight takes g3 takes. Knight at f2. King h2. Bishop takes g3 mate. Oh, you've got to go knight at e2. This could be mate here, but king h2 is more accurate of the defenses, and the time is going to run out. That was really critical there. Like, blitz bullet there, defending with king h2 instead of king h1. That was the difference between win and loss. Okay, we're seeing early knight g5. This I think is playable for black. I think there's a line where maybe you can take f7 and play b3 and try to play bishop a3, but d3 can get played too. And I think if you play into this with either side, you've really got to understand it. I don't feel I understand knight takes f7 well enough, so I don't play it myself. But yeah, followed up with d3. Yeah, I feel like there was something maybe critical where you've got to try to play pawn at e6 before this bishop gets out of the way, because then the black king is more comfortable sitting on f8. Whereas when you play pawn at e6, you force the king back to a light square or a square that blocks the bishop. So now black gets bishop c5, and see that's where pawn at e6 and black is sitting safely. So I feel blitzbullet will be comfortable in this situation. He's got what, a piece for... Oh, it's a piece for 2 pawns. Right, because black sacrificed the pawn on d5 and one on f7. But okay, what happens here? Okay, queen e1. Guess he really didn't like pawn at e2, maybe? I kind of feel there's holes on f3 and e2 for the future. And black quick to sacrifice here to either play pawn at e2 or pawn at f3. Maybe queen takes e5 is being considered, but then pawn at e2 is really tough to deal with because rook e1, bishop takes f2 takes, and then knight g4 would win the queen. He's done it though. Pawn at e2 just looks horrible for white. Because losing a rook is really difficult. Like you could play knight d2, take here, then knight at e2 check. You can't play king h1 because of rook g1, so you got to give up your queen. Um, Black's just got all the play and all the material. Yeah, I was a bit nervous after queen e1 that something can come on e2. That's why I thought white maybe could have blocked with pawn at e2 earlier. Ah, okay. There's takes, queen d1, block, rook at h1, block. Um, where's the mate from here? Oh, okay. You can do it this way. Yeah, that's enough to win. Queen at e2 is too much. Okay, blitz bullet, moving away with it, 8.5 to 3.5. Okay, Fumitoks switching it up, going to f5 instead of g4. Not committing the bishop to d6, so knight b5 not played just yet. Okay, I think bishop g6 is sensible here. Bishop e4 could be fun as well. Capture with a knight. So we talked about this in a previous game. This pawn becomes a target because it becomes a burden to defend. This knight can be placed in another attacking position like c3 or g5. Wow, knight at f5? Is that a slip or is that... I would have thought blitzbullet wanted knight at g5. But okay, knight at f5. Can white keep a straight face here and say that wasn't a slip? Uh, I'm still not sure, but I feel that black is okay now. Queen g6, like, yeah, f3 is under attack. There's no rush to break open a position. We don't need to open this file, so we don't need to capture e5. Or maybe he's contemplating taking it and holding on to the material. Okay. But if queen takes queen takes e5, there was bishop at d4, so he just sidestepped it. Did he have to do that? Because now d5 is hanging. Okay, but maybe he wanted that so that... Okay, blitzbullet really wanting the safe king. He just gave up the queen instantly. Um, Twists and turns happening too fast. I'm trying to keep up with them. Okay, so black's got a few holes to, be concerned about. before giving away a knight. Okay. So again, looks like white will be safe all game. Ooh, okay. There's a nasty fork here. And another nasty fork here. I think he should just take it. Doesn't need to play pawn at d7 and lose another pawn in the process. So white's happy here. I mean, white's only down a piece for a pawn, but this king can't castle anymore, and white's king is very safe. Pawn at f6 makes sense. You threaten mate here. Wow, blitzbullet really turning the screws here. Okay, looks like it's getting decisive already. So getting rid of that pawn on g7, so now another pawn can come on g7. This went really quickly. And this is, I would say, blitzbullet's bread and butter style with the fianchetto. The safe king and find weaknesses and pull the opponent apart. So e7 had to be defended, but I mean white's already up so much material. Okay, I was thinking maybe queen at b7, but okay, it's yeah. This should be mate from here somewhere. Yeah, thought it might start with queen here. Is there some finesse? Oh, okay. That was quite straightforward, actually. 9.5 to 3.5. Blitzbullet. Alright, we want to see if Fumitoks make some comeback here. Um, Hopefully a score closer to even before we start day 2. Day 2 will be starting 26th December in most countries. 26th December, um, I think it was 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. New York time. I'll just double check that. I know it starts for me at 2 a.m., but so I don't tell a lie, we'll recheck the forum. Okay, here's your dates and times. So today we've got Saturday 24th December. It is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in New York, and Moscow time is 6 p.m. to 9. Okay, so pawn at e4 occurred. So basically blitzbullet's playing the same structure with both sides. And big trade-off in the middle here. So maybe I'm leaning towards knight at f4, knight at h4. Yeah, you gotta go for the g6. Also not bad to defend g2. So white's given up a rook for 2 pawns. Another knight on f4 makes sense here. I think both players are okay with their position. This pawn at h7 really interesting. Like I was looking at like ignoring this bishop for a moment, and I don't think it's sensible enough. The problem is this bishop is under attack. Apologies, there's a few yawns from me, not because the match is not interesting, but because it's 3:42 a.m. here. Um, I might have got in half an hour of sleep before 2 a.m. when this match started. But yeah, I haven't streamed this too much this year, so I've got to attend. Chuck Malden says, what is the format, all today or over several days? It'll be 3 days. Sorry, I just had the dates up before. Today is day 1. We've got Saturday 24th, Monday 26th, and Friday 30th December. Moscow time, 6 to 9 p.m. New York time, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. 60 games in total, 20 games per day. On the first leg, blitzbullet leading 9.5 to 3.5. But looking like in some trouble here. What just happened? This is really dangerous. Yep, I think that's wise. You basically force black to take away his only attacking piece. And how are you going to stop queen at g8? And knight g6 for that matter. Clean and clinical from Fumitoks. That's great. We got a victory again. So we want to see more even scores. Hopefully that gives Fumitoks some confidence boost. He's just been playing so well throughout the whole candidate stage. But blitzbullet putting up some big resistance here. So this one is, I mean, you want to take DE sometimes because it's moving a pawn forward, but in this case it becomes a burden to defend. So if you play knight at f6, there can be knight at c3, and you just can't get another defender onto it. Yeah, what do you do with the pawn on e4? This is really hard for black. I think we've discussed this before as to why black's been taking with the bishop on e4. But going back, I just felt earlier in the series that Fumitoks was maybe seeing this move after white had castled and can play h5. So blitzbullet has just modified the move order slightly. So yeah, he's given up the pawn and is going for initiative, which I think is reasonable. Oh wow, g4, not wanting black to open the file. And black with only knights in hand. Now b7 is under attack. So, yeah, well, it's just bishop at g7 is the move here. I mean, this is cool, but like blitzbullet playing g4 one moment, seemingly allowing the open diagonal, and then just going it straight in for the attack. And it seems good for white. So maybe bishop at f8, just cover that pawn. Knight at g5 is what you got to look out for here. So that's probably Fumitoks' idea. Instead of having a rook on h8 that's a target for bishop at g7, he's just willingly given up that rook. But what it means is white no longer has the c1 bishop defending g5. Knight at g5, surely you got to get that one in. I don't know, if knight at g5, are you inviting bishop at f6? Okay, what's he thinking about? Oh, knight takes d4. So, yeah, it can't be taken because of bishop takes. But what do you do with bishop at f6? Is there a move? Well, knight at f3. Does this work? The problem is white's still defending f4, and you can't take this without a check. What's he doing? Bishop h2. I don't think black's got enough because g3. Yeah, the queen's gone with check. That's mate. Yeah. Yeah, I thought knight at g5 instead of knight takes d4. If bishop at f6, maybe even knight takes e4, and giving up the queen on d8 looked okay. But alright, we're 15 games and we've got 5 more to go. Blitzbullet with a strong lead at the moment. Okay, we're seeing h4. We're seeing some aggression. Knight h5. Could we see g4? Then you got knight takes ed ef. Sorry, it's a bit wild g4, but okay. Sack first, then g4. Okay, here we go. Wow, knight g3. Okay. If takes, bishop takes e3. You have to take it. This knight can't really go anywhere. I thought maybe rook h3 could be a move. Can you sack the queen here? And then pawn at e4 comes. So if king d1, there's pawn at g2, right? So if king f1, then bishop takes d4 wins the pawn. So he's gone for this. Now this is looking comfortable for black. Maybe knight e5, because if takes, you've got knight at h6 checked. It's always nice that a knight is defending the square your king is on. So knight e5 is played. Knight e5 also getting out of the way of pawn at e4 before it happens. I think just pawn at d6 here. Okay, pawn at e4. Okay, this has been common theme from blitzbullet today, this c5 d4 idea. I thought, yeah, bishop at e3 might be reasonable. G7. I wonder if this is being threatened. Okay, he's taken f7. With recapture, are there any tricks like a pawn h6? No. Okay, he's taken g4. Ooh, because this is now open. So I think, yeah, I don't know if you can just recapture because there's probably mate with all that white has. Black's got to be careful. There's no... Yeah, that's why he's had to play rook takes f7 first. Can he get the knight check in? If you take, then yeah, this is looking convincing. As king runs queen f2 here, and then takes queen f5 was mate. He does have to go this way, but the moment you step on a light square, you're gonna get checked, losing your bishop. I think blitzbullet's got this one as well. So rook takes f7 was nicely spotted. Queen b6 looks natural. You bring your second queen into the game. But is it enough? Can white run back this way? But that's why I feel if queen b6, king e2, queen at g2 would pick up the rook with check when the king does back off. Okay, he's had a serious think about d4, king e2. Yeah, you've got the win in the bag when you've got this bishop being captured with check. Queen b6 would have been just as good. Okay. 11.5 to 4.5. Wow. So against knight d2, I think black should play c5 early. And because Fumitoks maybe doesn't know of the idea or isn't choosing to play it, I think blitzbullet's getting away with a decent opening. So he's mixing it up here, playing something different. But white's okay, black is okay. Okay, Fumitoks on the attack, and blitzbullet not too phased by it. Just, got the pawn to e5 again, really stopping this bishop from creating too much of an issue. And going to h2, not f1 for the defense. I suspect bishop at h4 will be coming because you want to stop h4 being played by black. Like, you cannot allow h4. That is just... Yep, the discovered check is too much and what you're being backed through. Wow, really? Okay, h4. This... He allowed it. Oh, okay. Very nice. Just deciding to sidestep things. Well, I guess maybe you can allow it, but bishop at h4 was my choice for white. It's a nice little pocket here because it's hard to hit. White's pretty much safe for the game, it feels like, after that. Yeah, well, blitzbullets showed me. I said you can't allow h4, but he has, and he seems to be fine with it. He hasn't even taken it. I wonder if there's a reason where this becomes more dangerous. Don't you take this now and just play pawn at f6? Rebuild slowly. I wonder if he's hesitating because I don't yet see. Can white play something like bishop takes e6? Because what it does is, like, after rook takes h1, white gets this one with check as well. There it is. Bishop takes e6. Okay, so now the rook is in hand for Fumitoks, but he needs... See, there's no pawn at g4 or bishop at g4 because there's bishop at h5 here. You want to be able to distract this knight. But after that, bishop takes e6, the light squares have been affected. And I think this is why Fumitoks was taking his time with h takes g3. Because this bishop takes e6 idea just ruins black's pawn structure. Oh, okay. Rook at G1. And is there the follow-up? So, let's say Queen takes. Pawn at H3, Knight at F2, King G2, Bishop at H3. Wow. Yeah, you could. Well, you'd have to play King F3. You're getting pretty close to the line to getting mated. But okay, Pawn at H2. Just having a think, King F1. This is gonna look decisive. See, even if you can win the queen on H1, I think White's gonna have a mate threat, or maybe he'll take with the king. Blitzbullet has a real grip on this final. Okay, took with the queen. H1 queen. At the end of it, there'll be, bishop at G6 or bishop at E6. Here we go. Let's see how it plays out. Yep, resigns was fair. That's what, yeah, it was unfortunate. Even if you win the queen, you don't have enough time. So, king E7, knight G8, king F8 was a try, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But even then, and you're dropping the queen there. It's probably a rook check, and then the king ends up on E8, and then the queen goes with check. Yeah, there's too many threats. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. That was given up voluntarily. Knight takes A8 looks logical. But yeah, this could just be better. Knight takes D5. White's just up 2 pawns, seemingly. Knight C3. Okay, Fumitoks just stole 2 pawns this opening. Should secure a win here when you secure 2 pawns for nothing, basically. Right, okay. Usually with the knight on C6. I guess that's a critical difference. That with the knight on D7, the queen was not defending the pawn on D5. Wow, queen sack. Okay, that's a Johnny queen sacrifice. That's a queen sacrifice with no immediate compensation. Let's say. Okay, ignoring knight takes c3. Maybe there's pawn at h7. So it can't be taken because of knight at g5 check, takes, king back, and queen h7 mate. But pawn h7, king across. Can you play bishop takes g6? Oh, I wasn't saying immediately, but oh, is this dead? Wow, because if king here, knight at f7, you can't take it because of queen g8, so king has to take it, knight g5. Wow, Fumitoks just threw a grenade straight into that fortress. So yeah, the black king has to run out, but this is positive for Fumitoks. What next here? Can you play pawn at f7, rook takes, queen at g8, rook back, pawn f7 takes, rook e8, king c7 looks like it's safe enough. Can you bring another queen in with queen d3? Okay, that's sensible. Threatening queen at d8, stopping off the escape route. Because now these pawn f7, queen at g8, rook f8 threats become more serious if you can get one more pawn in hand. So, queen d3 might be that extra pawn. So that's also making sense. Bishop e6 and straight for queen b8. Right. Yeah, looks good for white. So what's the continuation? Queen c7, threatening rook at d8. How do you defend that? And also, well, you might just take this knight. There we go. Okay, can't take with a bishop because of queen takes, so you got to take with a rook. But then rook at g8, rook back. Let's put the queen on. Alright, can't let the clock tick too low. Okay. Now note that was not a real queen. That was a promoted queen from a pawn, so black didn't get a queen in hand. So knight on f6 would be nice for white, or g7. Maybe queen d3? Alright, Fumitoks in time trouble. Can he keep up with the pace? Now queen d3. Pawn at b2. Castle. Pawn at b2 again. Maybe rook to e1. And oh, rook at h1 is dangerous here. That's kind of nice. You defend g2, but more importantly, open up h3. Okay, there's no rook at h1. Pawn h3. Oh, what, was that a slip? Rook g3? Was well, maybe not. Maybe he's just defending g2. Knight at h8 is a mate threat here. This is dangerous. Okay, Fumitoks getting the most out of this. Rook takes, and rook takes. Oh, he took with the rook. That's fine too. This is very strong. Yeah, nice. Nice find. Picking off this one. White with no problems at home. Oh, this looks like mate. Rook at g6. It has to go here. Knight at g6. King e8. Pawn at d7. Pawn at f7. He'll see that for sure. Hey, Fumitoks. Grabbing the win there. And we're down 18 games. 12.5 to 5.5. Can Fumitoks win the last two to stay within reach? Yeah, I think white's okay in these. I think it's c5 is a good idea in these, and then you just pile pressure onto to d4 because white has placed the knight there. I get the feeling blitzbullet has played this before. So while this is like the most tempting sack in Bughouse or Crazyhouse, I think maybe Fumitoks has played it once or twice today and given away a bit of material which hasn't paid off. Pawn at g6 was a threat, so it's quite reasonable for black to threaten g5. Now white making the sacrifice first. What's he doing with pawn at g6? Is he taking g4 and knight at f4 check, king back, pawn at g6, king e7? Looks okay. So takes, rook at f7. But then black has to be mindful of rook at g1 coming on this side. blitzbullet having a bit of a think. I'm not comfortable going to d6. So I think king e8, knight takes, rook at g1 check, bishop f1, bishop at a5 check, preventing knight takes c7 check, and then c3, maybe knight at e4 to stop the king from running out to d2. What happens on king d6? Yeah, it's just running up, not down, but maybe it's okay. Okay, queen d3 played. Rook at g1 is too dangerous, isn't it? Yeah, bishop at e1. Because you couldn't block with bishop f1 because takes queen h1 was going to be mating. But this looks like it should be. Well, you got to be careful here, because say you play knight at c4 takes and you win a queen, knight at b5 is checkmate just like that, because this bishop line opened up. Pawn's covering here. Oh, he played it, but he's got knight at f5 check and king d3. Then you win the queen with check, so you're not mated by knight at b5. Critical move, knight at f5 here, and that should be the win for black with winning the queen with check. So king takes, queen at b4 check, and queen takes d4. So because of this way, maybe his pawn at d5. He's got time to think through the mate, but this is a win. Oh, this is so nice. Queen at e3 check. Oh, then I mean this will win. Queen at e6 check and knight at h5 is a mate, but queen at e3. I want to show it after this one's done. Queen at e6, king back, queen takes here. But yeah, we'll just quickly show afterwards. So just because it's fancy, I was seeing queen at e3, and then if bishop takes, then knight takes g3 check, and oops, pawn at f5 here. Yeah. I haven't seen that mating pattern before. Usually when you sack a queen, you get mate the next move, but it's actually sacking the queen, then sacking the knight that was defending the queen, then pawn at f5. I had to show that one. Okay, we've got this same position where pawn at e6 is played while the bishop is still on f8. So Fumitoks now 6.5. Last game for today. So this is something theoretical, and this is where the pawn chain can get broken with knight takes d5, and I think this is what the computer suggests, possibly, but I I don't claim to understand how it works. The knight at f5 is a mate threat here. So black disrupting the pawn chain. Making sure that, this is important, making sure that's taken before knight at f5 gets played, so it's not mate. And going straight for g2. I don't feel comfortable playing this sort of opening unless I would really know it, particularly at this level in a Crazyhouse World Championship final. Because already here as white, I just feel like I don't understand this position. I feel like I'm getting attacked, and yeah, if queen takes b7. Wow, king takes e6. Now that unprovoked, knight at c6 check was coming. Yeah, this one I don't know. I understand. Maybe knight at g5 check, king e7. Like maybe pawn at d6 is interesting. Because of takes, you can take a8 and try to threaten rook at e8, but still defending g2 from knight takes g2 check. And then what if knight at g5, but black decides to go king f5 and say, well, I'm gonna take your knight for free, thanks. I think he'll play king f5. Yes, he did. Um, blitzbullet's good at taking material. Um, king f5 is one of those moves that, as white, when you play knight at g5, you know it's there, but you're like, well, the king's coming up to the 5th rank or 4th rank, but it's not easy to refute king f5. Okay, but white definitely has the safer king. And in taking this, you remove the defender of f7. So if the black king gets harassed, maybe he can come back. This, though, is different. Now, because now maybe you've got knight at e5 check. Alright, what's going to happen in this last game? Can Fumitoks pull another win? Okay, so let's go on for f4. Black's not really even up much material. He's up a piece or a pawn, so this is good for white. Okay, but checks here might actually help black to run back. So, the time on the clock. This rook on a8 is now defended. So bishop at g3, nice, hitting the queen, making the way for knight at e5. Oh, how do you defend against this one? But now he's got no knight in hand. It really takes the sting out of him. Maybe c3, just to keep the knight in hand, unless pawn at c2 is going to be too dangerous. Okay, queen e7. Oh, this one's hanging. e3 is hanging. Not as dangerous now, but the rook went here. And bishop at h5 is something to look for, just because it stops the black king from running back. Ooh. Wow, bishop f4. Gotta go. Maybe g5 to get the king back, or else the king will be stuck on h6. I think the king can just take that one, unfortunately. And then g3. Oh, maybe that's nice move in between. Is there any mate here? Oh, no. All the material given, but what's threatened is pawn at g3 and check. So he's got safe. I think he can't stop the king running back. That's the problem. Or maybe g3 and then rook f5, but he's gonna run out of pawns. He's one pawn short. You can take the knight, but that's painful. He's one pawn short. Oh, oh, that was so exciting towards the end there. Yeah, I just thought Queen E3 here though was that was it, because there's no blocker in hand, right? Like you've got to. But yeah, was there something here? Let's just have a quick look. No, it is Black's victory. It looks really scary, but it is 100% Black's victory, even if it is just one pawn short. A pawn is a pawn, and it's pawn at h6, or a bishop on h6, just short there. So impressive performance from blitzbullet. Blitzbullet now leading 13.5 to 6.5. Quite a different. Sorry, quite a different scoreline to what it was in the candidates. There's your scores just at the bottom. So we'll be back in exactly 2 days. I'll bring up the times and dates once more. Um, Monday, 26th December, Moscow time 6 to 9 p.m. and New York time 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. I'm really tired. I need to go straight to bed, and I've got a big Christmas day ahead of us. So yeah, I'm gonna stop it there. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you all again. Um, just have a great Christmas wherever you are. Okay, we'll see you in a couple of days with the real Ganaeus and hopefully Yasser. But yeah, no certainty just yet. We'll see who turns up. All right, take care. Bye for now.